Welcome to Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair.
Blair, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
I am doing so well. It's April.
It is.
The weather is getting warmer, and of course, it's the month of everyone's favorite holiday, April Fools.
Which I believe is today, as far as the release date of this episode.
Yeah, no, it'll be Tuesday, right?
I'm checking the calendar.
How many
I'm
days
checking
are there?
the calendar.
No, you
right
might
now.
be right. I think there
April
are 31
1st.
days.
April 1st is a Monday. So yeah, happy
He got her.
April
He got her.
Fool. Thank you, buddy.
Happy April Fools, everyone. We appreciate you taking time away from putting buckets of water atop doorways and saran wrap under the toilet seats to join us for a brand new month of horror movie reviews. A month we will be calling Ha Ha Horror Month.
Yeah.
A month of horror comedy, and we have a great one to start off this month. But before we chat about that, what do you say we chat a little bit about some horror news?
This is horror news.
Blairski, you got some horror news?
I do. So I did briefly mention this in our last episode, which would have been our April selection show, but it is official. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3 is a go. And it promises an even bigger budget than the first two movies, as well as new characters, including Rabbit, Heffalumps, and Woozles. Heffalumps and Woozles are creatures featured in the storybooks, not so much the Disney rendition of Winnie the Pooh, but we all know Rabbit. So it will be exciting to see Rabbit in the mix.
I do remember the Heffalumps from the movie.
Do you really? I don't remember.
That's when things start getting weird, right? They're the elephants.
Yeah, they are.
They're
are
like
elephants.
the purple elephants.
That's
when
right. That is right.
That's when things start getting a little bit trippy. How could you forget?
That is right. So yeah, they're going to be featured in Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3, apparently. So something to look forward to at some point in 2025.
Very, very cool. Bring it on. Bring it on. Another excuse to go to the theater.
Right. I've got some real life horror news here.
Uh-oh.
Coming out of the state of Pennsylvania, a man by the name Zach Moyer apparently dressed up as Ghostface from the Scream franchise, walked over to his neighbor's house, and unfortunately took the life of Edward Whitehead Jr. According to reports, he unfortunately suffered multiple wounds, and one being fatal, caused by a knife to the head. Zach Moyer is now awaiting homicide charges. But that's wild. They saw security footage, and yeah, sure enough, dressed complete as Ghostface, mask, robe, everything.
Dear Lord, be kind to one another. Be kind to one another.
Be kind to your neighbors, for sure.
Remember, they're just movies. Don't try and relive these movies.
Unbelievable when I read that.
Wow, that is some pretty shitty news.
Yeah. I was kind of going through iHorror for some horror news for this episode and came across that, so I felt
and that popped up.
Felt like I needed to write it down.
Tragic
sure.
stuff. Anything else for horror news?
That's all I got this week, man.
I've got a couple here. News regarding the upcoming release of Universal and Blumhouse's Wolfman Project.
Okay.
Originally set for release October 25th, 2024, a good Halloween season release. It is now being pushed back for a theatrical release of January 17th, 2025.
Like 3 months, 4 months, not 3 months.
Yeah. It's also just like, it's kind of an odd time for a horror movie to be released. Obviously, December is when you see a lot of the big movies being released. It's usually summertime, and around Christmas is when you see a lot of big budget movies coming out, or a lot of Oscar baited movies that they're hoping that will win awards coming out around that time. Such an odd place to have a horror movie.
Also, January, everyone's kind of in that holiday hangover mode, you know?
Absolutely. Unfortunate. I think it would have been a lot better October 25th, but obviously they have their reasons, and we're still going to see it, which is good.
Yeah, 100%.
And then lastly, we got news a short while back about Neve Campbell making a return to the Scream franchise after signing on for Scream 7 And apparently, Paramount and Spyglass aren't done yet,
Okay.
as they are in talks with another name to come back for Scream 7. Courtney Cox is in talks to return as Gail Weathers. It also looks like they found a director, finally, Kevin Williams, who wrote the first installment of the franchise,
Which is pretty awesome.
has signed on to direct. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
No more news regarding Courtney Cox coming back, but at Reviews That Scare, we will try and keep you posted. If nothing else, it's out there in the universe. Hopefully this will manifest it. Hopefully she'll sign on. And really, really cool that they're bringing on Kevin Williams to direct.
I heard that they're trying to get McDreamy back as well.
Ooh, okay. Neat.
Because McDreamy,
Okay.
I believe he was only in the third one.
Three. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
it'll be
I
interesting to
believe
get him back too.
Well, after, his most recent screen time in Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, which was a lot of fun, why not try and get him?
Why not? And correction, he's actually in Scream 4. Scream 4.
Scream 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Scream 4. There you go. That's all I have for horror news. What do you say we jump into this week's episode? The first episode in Ha Ha Horror Month goes to 2010's Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Runtime on this one, 1 hour, 29 minutes. Blairski, need we say more?
No, if anything, for this movie, I wish it was a little longer.
I agree. It is the perfect runtime. Hour and a half.
It
It's
is.
perfect. Fun facts for this one. You got any fun facts?
Fun facts. Facts that are fun.
I've only got one, and this is actually a Canadian film, which I did not know before doing the research for this episode. It was filmed in Calgary, Alberta, and all post-production took place in British Columbia. I'm guessing Vancouver, although I couldn't find the exact city for post-production online, but the making of this movie was all done here in Canada.
Unbelievable. So post-production was done in your home province.
Yeah.
And it was filmed 3 hours away from where we currently are. Unbelievable.
Pretty cool stuff, eh?
I was going through, we'll get into it when we talk about the fine folks who made this movie, but a lot of these actors were appearing in television shows that you might remember while growing up here in Canada.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, goodness. I got a couple fun facts here. The film was shelved for 3 years before finally being released. No reason stated on why it was shelved. Maybe they were struggling to find a production company to even buy into it, but who knows? And then finally, Tucker's truck is a 1981 GMC K1500 wideside.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
That's so funny.
Let's chat about the fine folks who worked on this fun flick, directed by Eli Craig, also directed 2013's Zombieland,
Oh,
which is
crazy.
really
Okay.
cool. 2017's Little Evil, and will be or has directed the upcoming film Clown in a Cornfield, which sounds like a horror movie to me.
To me, it does too, or possibly,
Yeah, absolutely.
possibly another horror comedy.
Yeah, absolutely. This one written by Eli Craig, also wrote 2017's Little Evil and the 2004 short The Tao of Pong. Also written by Morgan Jurgensen, who wrote 2003's Glass Desert and one episode of the TV show Fastlane. This one starring, I'm just going to go through it. It is a bigger cast in this one, so I'm just going to mention a few, kind of the four performers who had bigger roles in this one. Starting off with Tyler Lieben as Dale, also starred in 2006's Flyboys, 22 episodes of the television show Invasion, 44 episodes of Breaker High, where he played Jimmy, 72 episodes of Voltron Legendary Defender, and 89 episodes of New Amsterdam. Also starring Alan Tudyk as Tucker, starred in 14 episodes of Firefly, the 2001 classic A Knight's Tale, 2004's Dodgeball, 2007's Death at a Funeral, 41 episodes of the Harley Quinn television series, and has done voiceover work for a bunch of Disney movies, including Wish, Zootopia, Raya and the Last Dragon, Frozen 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Moana, Big Hero 6, Frozen, and Wreck-It Ralph, just to name a few.
Huge resume, man.
Massive resume. Also starring Katrina Bowden as Allison, starred in 222 episodes of Blair's second favorite daytime soap opera, The Bold and the Beautiful. Also starred in 99 episodes of 30 Rock, Scary Movie 5, and Piranha 3 Double D, just to name a few. Again, massive resume for Katrina Bowden. And then finally, Jesse Moss as Chad, also starred in 26 episodes of the television show Whistler, 2006's Final Destination 3, 2000's Ginger Snaps, where he played Jason, and in 12 episodes of the television show Reboot,
Right on.
where he played Enzo Matrix. You remember Reboot?
I loved Reboot, man. Reboot was so good.
For any of you listeners not living in Canada, Reboot is a television show that played in the 90s on a station called YTV,
Hell yeah.
which every child growing up in Canada in the 90s was absolutely obsessed with YTV.
Basically Canadians' version of Nickelodeon. Basically.
Yep. Yeah, it played, Reboot, and that was where we saw Are You Afraid of the Dark as well.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer as well.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I remember Power Rangers, old episodes of the Power Rangers would play on it.
Goosebumps.
The new Addams Family.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. And Video Arcade. What was that one?
Video
called?
Arcade Top 10.
Video
man.
Arcade Top 10. Bring it on. With Wink Yahoo.
Oh, yeah.
We can go on and on
We
about
sure could.
YTV, but instead, we're going to talk about the synopsis, courtesy of our dear friends at I Am a DB. Affable hillbillies Tucker and Dale are on vacation at their dilapidated mountained cabin when they are mistaken for murderers by a group of preppy college students. Yeah,
Yeah. That's exactly what happens.
that's a fine synopsis. I like that synopsis. This leads us to one of our favorite segments, Kill Count.
Kill count. The time of the show we count the kills.
Blairski, do you have a kill count for this one?
We have a total kill count in this movie of 16.
Whoa.
Man, I know. Only 12 of those were shown on screen. 5 of the total kills also were only shown in flashbacks.
Yep.
But still a fairly high kill count for a horror comedy movie such as this.
That is, and I did mention that it does have a bigger cast, but I mean, not much more than 16. So
No.
that's
Not at
pretty
all.
high in ratio to how many people are in this movie. That's great. This leads us to one of our favorite segments, likes and dislikes.
Likes, dislikes, likes, dislikes, and everything in between.
The portion of the show where we chat about what we liked, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Blairski, do we want to start with kills?
Yeah, well, actually, first I want to mention our last episode when we picked this movie. I was stating that it was a spoof of Evil Dead. Not even close. I was way off, so I apologize for that. The only reminiscence of Evil Dead you get in this movie is the cabin in the woods.
Which looks very similar.
Looks very similar, yeah.
I told Blair earlier today after he apologized to me that I was waiting the whole movie for these teenagers to come back to life.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, it
For
didn't
them to
happen.
find some sort of book to unleash a demonic entity or who knows, right? But
It
none of
didn't
that
happen,
happened.
and
Yeah.
that's okay. And I mean, I'm kind of glad that it wasn't a parody or a spoof. This movie, if nothing else, was 100% unique
Yeah,
and
it's
original.
It's really
So original. Oh my goodness, I love it.
Yeah.
What a kind of, you take your stereotypical slasher movies, wilderness horror movies with hillbillies, and you completely
Reverse
flip
it.
it upside down,
Yeah.
where the hillbillies are, the lovable characters, and you have these teenage college kids who usually are getting picked off, and they do get picked off in this movie.
In a different way.
It's 100% their fault that they're getting
Yeah.
picked off. Yeah.
which will lead to the kills. The first thing we'll talk about. The kills were great. They were
Yeah.
great. They were funny. They were
Yeah.
bloody. They were gory. The practical effects and makeup in this movie, being a horror comedy, were absolutely fantastic. That
Yeah, I
really-
think I agree with you. They are very bloody,
Mhm.
but so over the top.
yeah,
I think they're so funny because the majority of the kills are so unintentional.
yeah, yeah,
The majority of the kills in this movie happen on accident.
yeah. Yeah,
Which I
they do.
think is just like it's just so ridiculous. It makes me go back to the death in the movie Pulp Fiction, where John Travolta shoots the guy in the back of the car after hitting a bump. It's very much that where
Yeah.
the majority of the kills happen because of an accident.
It's running too fast around a wood chipper, or running too fast carrying a sharp object. Shit like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, running in the woods, accidentally not looking where you're going, running into a tree. Yeah. It's so over the top and ridiculous and incredibly bloody.
yeah, very bloody, man. It's a lot bloodier than I was expecting it to be.
But almost, it's 100% in a comical way.
Oh, for sure.
It hits that point of no return where you can't take the kills seriously because
No.
they're so over exaggerated.
No. Yeah, that's the thing. Like the blood and effects of it look very real, but the whole situation surrounding every death is so far out there. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What did you think? Just because it is obviously it's a comedy movie,
Mm.
and comedy movies rely so much on the text, on the script. What did you think of the script in this one?
Loved it, especially between Dale and Tucker.
Yeah,
Just anytime Dale and Tucker were on screen together, or even just one of them with the kids, just anytime either of them were involved with the dialogue, it was hilarious. But the group of kids together were also pretty good too.
absolutely. There's obviously some real standouts in this one. I mean, the script is so good. Not only are the jokes there, but you can tell that a lot of the movie, the actors are just so comfortable and free to improvise.
Yeah.
That it just makes scenes that much better. But I agree. Any scene with Tucker and Dale is just fantastic. They take these stereotypical hillbilly characters and we just think, oh, these guys are going to be the bumbling idiots. But they are just the two sweetest characters in the whole movie. And they're smart characters.
Especially Dale, man. He's like secretly a genius. The nicest guy you'll ever meet. And that's part of the twist of the movie, is this group of college kids judge them instantly just based on how they look.
Well, they just immediately, sorry, I'm plugging in my computer.
Oh, no
They
worries.
just immediately, the things start going wrong. They get kind of an odd look from these hillbilly characters. And obviously, these college kids are kids that have watched too many horror movies, and they
Yeah.
instantly think, oh my God, anytime something goes wrong, it's these hillbillies. They're out to get us.
Yeah.
And in return, the hillbillies are going, what is up with these college kids? They just keep dying.
They keep killing themselves. They think they're on a suicide pact.
The
or something like
suicide
that.
pact, which is like, it's horrible, but at the same time, it is one of the funniest realizations that Tucker and Dale come to is, oh my God, these kids have some emotional issues right now. They're just killing themselves.
Yeah, they're like, we must hide every sharp object around instantly.
Yeah.
So worried for these kids.
This movie, I mean, the premise of the story is just straight up fantastic.
Mhm.
It really plays up on that don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Hillbilly stereotypes. I love it. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Tucker and Dale. I know we already have, but these have to be two of the most lovable characters that we have seen since we started reviewing movies. I'm thinking we'll have to add another award to this year's award season to honor lovable characters, because these two together, you were saying, especially Dale,
Yeah.
just the sweetest characters.
They really were. And I have written down here, I was like, the relationship between Dale and Tucker, it almost reminded me of something similar to a Beavis and Butthead, Or-
Yeah.
or a Jay and Silent Bob. even, where it's just kind of two idiots, even though they're actually smarter than they put out to be. But like basically two idiots who just do everything together.
Yeah.
They're each other's, kind of glue.
They go, you can see they go everywhere with each other. They've
Yeah.
had a relationship since they were little kids.
Yeah.
But again, it's nice taking that stereotypical character of the hillbillies and making them, sensitive and caring and giving them a heart where it's just like, no, this is my brother and we love each other.
Yeah.
It's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
And it's, they do a really good job with setting the scene right from the beginning, immediately getting you to like these two characters, Tucker and Dale, and immediately getting you to dislike the character of Chad.
Chad. It's funny because his name has to be Chad. Because
Yeah, of course.
every slasher has that douchebag college kid named Chad.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But right off the bat, it gets you, okay, I'm supposed to like these guys. I'm supposed to not like this other guy. Yeah, it's great.
I'm supposed to hate Chad, supposed to love the hillbillies.
I love how all of the characters are completely oblivious to the idea that maybe this whole thing is just a giant misunderstanding.
I know.
It's great. It's just absolute chaos. And like if they all just like sat down for a minute,
Yeah.
everything would be fine.
Yeah.
But the character Chad, he does not want to go to the cops. He wants to
No.
handle this his own way. It's great. Yeah.
It's so good. I loved all the nods to horror movies. So we already mentioned the cabin that kind of looked like the cabin from Evil Dead. There's
Yeah.
one scene where Tucker gets bit by a bunch of bees
Yeah.
and he's wielding a chainsaw and he's running away from these bees. The chainsaw is revving up and he looked like Leatherface. from the
Leatherface.
Final scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So great with the arm movements and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. Obviously, homage to, to all of these flicks before it is so good.
There's
Yeah.
other scenes where they're telling stories of the past around a campfire, similar to Friday the 13th. There was a bunch of kind of shout outs to older
Yeah.
slasher movies, which I really enjoyed. I also really like the soundtrack, bro. They played Pump Up the Jam.
They did really early in the film. Yeah. Pump the jam. Pump
Pump
it up.
it up.
While your feet are stumping. Yeah,
Jump
I love
Jams, Volume
it. Oh goodness. Yeah, agreed. What else did they play? There was one other song that I immediately remembered, and now I'm forgetting.
I
Anyways.
only had Pump Up the Jam written, but that's
A
enough.
fun soundtrack.
Yeah.
Fun soundtrack. Yeah. I thought the acting was fantastic,
Acting was good.
especially from Tucker, Dale, Chad, and Allison. I mean, it's great. Tucker Dale is the lovable, bumbling hillbillies. Allison is the understanding, non-judgmental final girl, and then Chad is the frat boy killer. They just played those roles perfectly.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Anything you didn't really like about this one?
Nothing written down, man. No, I can't even think of anything I didn't like about this movie. But it was fun.
Yeah, I thought the kind of the flashbacks and like who's Chad, who his family is, and all that stuff. It was a little bit confusing just because it just happened so quickly.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, this movie hits so many things out of the park. Love it.
But Chad just didn't know he was half hillbilly.
He just didn't know he was half hillbilly, and it ruined him. Oh goodness. Anything else you really liked, didn't like?
No.
Anything in between?
I'm good to move on.
All right, let's move along to our next segment. Lessons we learned from watching 2010's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Lessons we learned from watching. Insert title of movie here.
The portion of the show where we discuss valuable life lessons we learned from watching said movie. Blairski, did you learn anything from watching Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
We've said this before, but don't judge a book by its cover. The most hillbillyish looking person in the room could very well be the nicest.
Absolutely, 100%.
When first introducing yourself to anyone, especially someone you're attracted to, don't first approach them holding a Sith and laughing like a madman. It is not the way to make a good first impression.
Yeah, it's a giant red flag.
Scene, it's Dale, and he approaches the group of college kids for the first time holding like the world's biggest Sith.
Sure, looking like a Grim Reaper.
Looking like a Grim Reaper, and he's nervous already. He doesn't know what to say, and so he just starts laughing. And he just looks like a crazy guy standing there holding a Sith.
Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable. Poor guy.
But hilarious. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Last thing I learned is don't run around with sharp objects. You could very well end up impaling yourself with a stick or running straight into a wood chipper, killing you instantly.
Yeah, watch where you're going, people.
Safety first, people.
I've got a couple here. Smiling and laughing shows confidence.
Yep.
Smile more and laugh more. Some people just aren't good in a crisis. I learned that Stockholm Syndrome is when someone who has been kidnapped falls in love with their kidnapper. I learned stop, drop, and roll is important.
Yeah.
And then finally, bear with me because I'm going to mispronounce this, but Anthemis nobilis is the ingredient in calamine tea that can cause anaphylactic reactions. Watch out for that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Those are the things that we learned
You
while
learn some great
watching
things.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That leads us to one of our favorite segments of the show, Line of the Night.
Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night. Line of the night.
The segment of the show where we discuss our favorite lines from the movie. They might give us chills, they might give us the giggles. All we know is that they are our favorites, Blairski. I mean, you got to tell me you've got a ton of lines for this one.
I mean, the movie is chock full of them. I do
Yep.
have 4 written down. So the first one, it's when the police officer shows up to the cabin shortly after the college kids also showed up and start dying everywhere. Tucker goes, "Oh, hidey ho, Sheriff. We've had a doozy of a day. There we were, minding our own business, just doing chores around the house when kids started killing themselves all over my property." And while he's saying this, they're literally holding a half-dead body.
A half-dead body, yeah. And I must say that the sheriff is pretty understanding.
He's just sitting there chilling out, letting them speak, you know.
Yeah, yeah. He wants to hear their side of the story while they're holding half a corpse.
Next line of the night, Dale, after a spear lands between his legs, he says, "I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad I'm not hung like a bear,"
Yeah.
which was hilarious. Another one from Dale, after he sees Tucker's fingers wrapped up in a shirt. He goes, "Oh my God, they cut off his bowling fingers."
Yeah. Such a great line.
Too funny. It's just so redneck. Like,
Yeah.
out of all the fingers, not his bowling fingers.
His bowling fingers.
The last one I have here, it's kind of a conversation between Chad and Tucker. Chad comes up to Tucker, who is hanging upside down. This is after they capture him, and he said, "I've never stood this close to pure evil before." He sniffs Tucker and goes, "It kind of stinks." And then Tucker replies, "It said it was 24-hour protection."
So good.
Which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. What a great line. Too good. I've got a few here. Chad starts off the movie by saying, "Either you're Omega Beta or you're a freak."
Yeah.
Such a Chad line.
He is such a Chad line.
Dale says, "I told you, Tucker, I'm a zero with the ladies. They hate my face."
Yeah.
Which apparently is an improvised line.
Oh, is it really? Right on.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
One from Tucker after finding bones hanging from the ceiling of the cabin. He says, "Whoever used to live here must have been an archaeologist." Tucker says, Tucker says to Dale, "I sawed into a bee's nest," which is great. Tucker, after Dale and him come to the conclusion that the college kids are part of a suicide pact, says, "Oh my God, we have to hide all the sharp objects."
Yeah.
Tucker says after Dale and him pull the remains of a body out of the wood chipper, he says, "He's heavy for half a guy."
Yeah.
And then finally, Tucker, after one of the college kids is set on fire, says, "He's crackling like a log."
So funny, man.
There's some really great lines in this one.
Oh man, yeah, there was.
This leads us to our favorite segment of the show. Some might say it's our favorite segment.
I'd probably say it's my favorite segment.
It's definitely up there for me. Of course, that segment is Celebrity Lookalike Time.
Celebrity lookalike time.
The time of the show where we take a look at the cast and discuss their celebrity doppelgangers. Spoiler alert, it usually comes down to the character's hairstyle Blairski. Any celebrity lookalikes for this one?
I'm just using Tucker and Dale. The character Dale reminded me of WWE superstar Kevin Owens.
Okay.
He also reminded me a little bit of Larry the Cable Guy.
Yep.
And then finally, I've used this one before, recently actually, but Tucker reminded me of the gimp-handed butler in Scary Movie 2, who was played by Chris Elliott.
Okay, good one. I've got a couple here. The character Dale reminds me of actor Paul Walter Hauser. He was in I, Tonya, Richard Jewell, Black Klansman, and Da 5 Bloods. Really great actor.
Okay.
And then the character Chad reminded me of a young Prime Minister of Canada,
Oh God.
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
It's the hair. It's
Chad.
definitely the hair.
Yeah.
This leads us to our final rating for 2010's Tucker and Dale versus Evil Blairski.
Yeah.
Out of 5 6-pound jars of Appalachian pickled eggs, what do you give Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
I'm going to give it 4 6-pound jars of Appalachian pickled eggs out of 5.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. 4 6-pound jars of Appalachian pickled eggs out of 5. What a fun movie.
It's a lot of fun, man. My jaw still hurts. I watched it last night. I was laughing pretty much the entire time, like out loud.
Yeah, you know what? I might not have gotten a whole lot of belly laughs, but I was definitely laughing for
Yeah.
most of the movie.
Yeah, just smiling, ear to ear.
Honestly, in a month where we're doing horror comedies, I can't think of a better movie to start it off with. What a great movie, fun movie,
Yeah.
great characters, great story, great kills, everything you want in a horror comedy movie.
I don't think it gets as much love as it deserves. You don't hear too much talk about Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
No, and they should get all the love because this movie's great, and they should definitely make a sequel.
Apparently there has been one in the works for quite some time.
Okay.
The actor who plays Tucker, I believe, he said the script is done and it's not good. So
no.
he highly doubts that they're actually gonna go through with it.
Well, you know what? If the script, like we were saying, comedy movies rely so much on the text. If the script isn't there, hold off.
Yeah, 100%.
Hold off.
Put out a good movie.
Yeah. After watching this one, I am just beyond excited to watch the 4 remaining movies this month. We've got some classics to chat about. But until then, this has been Review Set Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. Remember to stay scary
And eat every sandwich. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Review Set Scare. Make sure you check out our Linktree at linktree/reviewsetscare. That's linktr.ee/reviewsetscare, which has links to our Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and many other things. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at reviewsetscare@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay scary and eat every sandwich.
A proud member of Pod Nation TV.